Okay. 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 All right. So I hope this is correct. Maybe I'm live. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm live. Maybe I'm not. Doesn't matter. I'll just start talking anyway. All right. So everybody needs a break every now and then. I can't help it. I got some new lotion. Everything is slick and smooth. I sit back and I feel like I'm watching the world burn. Now when we're talking about cultural burning, you need it every now and then too. You know, um, I don't even want to begin to comment on the ridiculousness of everything that's going on right now. I mean, it's whatever was up is now down, and whatever's down is now up. It it doesn't make any sense. So, what I do want to talk about is a little bit of the economy. Now, first off, look, dude, I am a moron with a computer, but I've been following it, I would say, heavily now for maybe about 7 to 8 years. Um, and I was kind of taught how to read it through, a family member. In a sense, he's heavily invested, and I would watch these things. But now I'm also realizing how irrational, his belief system is. So I want to talk about the unemployment, because there's things that, sorry, it's been a while. I got to check all this stuff. Uh, there's ways that they calculate stuff. And the easiest way for me to describe how they do this is, you know, um, as always in the wonderful world of statistics, especially politically potent ones, it depends on what you measure, what you don't measure, slash act if doesn't exist, and how you measure what you do measure. And that seems to be the truth. If you remember when Trump was running for his, running to be elected, he, sorry, I cut on a light and there's moths. We have a giant light outside the warehouse and that tracks everything if you have the door open. Um, he would talk about how the numbers that Barack Obama were giving out were fake, and he would quote the E6 this and then quote that. And he was telling you it's all fake. It's all, don't believe any of this. They're not counting this. They're not counting that. And now he's pretty much stepped in it and, owns all of this now. So I want to go through this article because, the unemployment rate is, 21%. I actually think it's higher than that, because there's people like me. There's also people, and this article gets into that, people's who hours have changed, their employment status has changed from full time to part time to whatever the case is, and they're not counted. There was one estimate, I want to say a few weeks ago, if not 3 weeks ago, that is really like 45 million, 50 million. But what's also concerning too is we're going to through this article. It also talks about what the labor force really is. If we're looking at 330 million people in the U.S., it tells you, well, how many of those are working? Not as many as you would think. Not enough. So anyway, you know, this is by Charles Hugh Smith via Of Two Minds blog, .com is really good. There's also as another article from another one that I'm gonna go through, not on this, but another website that's pretty good. But let's just kind of go through this for a second. I want to gloss over some things because I want to get to some more interesting paragraphs. As businesses, agencies, organizations recalibrate the reality of the V-shaped recovery was nothing but a brief fantasy. 6 million additional jobs may be lost. 6 million additional jobs lost may be the best case scenario rather than the worst case scenario. It's very true. 6 million is not a lot of people. And now that you've got states coming back, California, you're never going to open up. Get over it. They're not giving you that back. Hang it up. It's not happening. It is somewhat less than reassuring that the official unemployment rate is around 12%, is roughly half of the real world employment rate. As always, in the wonderful world of statistics, especially political potent ones, it depends on what you measure, what you don't measure, and active, it doesn't exist, and how you measure what you do measure. Anyone or everyone who digs beneath the headline numbers of employment versus unemployment soon discovers a number of jarring anomalies in what the media presents as factual statistics. The first is that the Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS, not BLM, BLS, this is actually opposite, I think, of what that is, doesn't actually account the number of people who are employed or unemployed. Here we go. I'm going to try to explain this to you the best way that I can in here in a second. They rely on a sampling survey of employers, which is more like an election poll than an actual measurement. Okay, so this chart down here. Now, the way that what they typically do, and you can cut on right before, the day before or 2 days before, the numbers come out, employment numbers, non-farm payroll jobs and all that stuff, because that's always a market mover. And it's a sampling that they take, once a month, or, sometimes twice a month, sometimes the third week of the month. And that's it. They take a snapshot. And of that is ADP payrolls. So it's not even a complete picture. It's just that they're going to take this 1 week out of 4, and that's what they're basing their numbers off of, okay? So, let's see if I don't fuck this up. All right. That's how they guesstimate. Secondly, they estimate the number of new businesses which are born and existing businesses that die, and then guesstimate the number of additional employees this real-time churn generates. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of perfect world shit. I've worked for companies before that they were like, well, in a perfect world, we could do this and we can do that. And I would just look and I'd be like, all of that's horse shit. You got a whole bunch of things that are relying on just that one thing going right. Come on, man. That's unicorns and leprechauns. The birth and death model is notoriously inaccurate, as it ignores little things like pandemics and is awfully magically revised to create or eliminate hundreds of thousands of presumed jobs. You see this as well. They need the numbers to go up to move the markets, and they'll say, oh, we've added millions of new jobs or whatever, because they actually have to have they're talking about the birth and death rate, is that it needs to be, I believe, 250,000 jobs a month to keep up with birth rates, which, honestly, the birth rate of the U.S. is going way down. But it's like 250,000. So if they don't ever hit 250,000, then they're going backwards. But that's the birth and death rate. That's one of those things that they guesstimate, and that's just a guess. I'm saying they have to. Well, that's based on one of the guesses that they have. But that's when you'll see things revised, and it doesn't matter. All they're looking for is that bump. We got the bump in the polls. Everybody loves the president. We got the bump in the market. All right, don't worry. We're going to take this back down to 0 in 3 months once we're down the road. Now. So, state unemployment offices tabulate the number of unemployment claims received and processed. These are real numbers, not guesses like the BLS estimates. Wolf Richter prepared a chart. Now, this has actually got a lot of his, looked at his article, so it's got his charts, and it's got a lot of his explanations. So we don't have to go there. Of the real unemployment claim numbers versus, which are reprinted below. And it's from his post, 32 million on state and federal unemployment, second highest week ever, week 17 of U.S. labor market collapse. The BLS reported that the U.S. employed force stood at 152 million in February. out of 300, and 30 million, you know, 152, you know, less than half. Shit. With 32 million claiming unemployment. That's an unemployment rate of 21%. How do we arrive at a 12% unemployment rate? Well, here's how. We ignore the 14.3 million contract gig workers. Okay, think about those guys. A lot of them had troubles as soon as California passed they passed an employment law that screwed all of those guys. I forget the actual name of that law, but it screwed journalists up. They couldn't perform, they couldn't write more than 4 articles for, certain papers. I mean, way to go, California. Once again, God, your fucking state sucks. The only cool thing is that you got some cool sun, your bitches got big tits, and you got weed. Or fucking Denver's on its way to beating you there, or Colorado, I should say, in general. So, you fuck that up. But the only thing he's got blondes and big tits in California, so y'all fuck that up. That's over with. As soon as they start making porn in Idaho, you're going to lose everybody. So, anyway, they're not counting 14.3 million contract gig workers who are currently drawing emergency federal unemployment via pandemic. I had to actually look up this term. I didn't know what the PUA was. Everything's got an acronym now. The Pandemic Unemployment Assistance and the 936,000 in Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Compensation, the PEUC. But even the 21% real-world unemployment rate doesn't reflect the full unemployment picture. Previously, full-time workers have now had their hours cut to part-time, aren't counted in the unemployment statistics, even though their employment status has changed for the worse. Now, I want to get to that as well. Whenever they're also doing the non-farm payroll things, and a lot of it has to do with ADP, you could have somebody that has 2 part-time jobs. It's just one person, but they've got to work 2 places, 4 or 5 hours each, and each of those will count as a full-time job. It's almost like these COVID numbers. One person can be responsible for anywhere from 5 to 12 positives, which are showing up on your state case logs. They're not telling you that. And I don't want to get into a whole lot of that, but the counting is bullshit. We all know this. The guy died on a motorcycle. He died of COVID. Really. So anyway, back to this, away from that. There are millions of workers who have been recalled as businesses reopen, whose employment is up in the air as the expected return to normal has failed to materialize. This whole V-shaped recovery, it's not going to happen. I was looking for some charts. Yeah, I'm going to show you a chart. And once again, I know how to read these sort of, but you're looking at this. Let's make sure you're still looking at. Yeah, you are. So you can see this bottom line, the good times. All right. Everything is great. Oh yeah, and also too, this key phrase up here, seasonally adjusted. It's how you measure what you do measure. Really, it comes down, because even that term of how they do, that is a technical seasonally adjusted, rate. That is, you can't believe a word these fuckers say. You know what I mean? It's literally, everything is doublespeak. But you have an entire class has been glossed over. Small business owners who have closed their businesses. There's been, quite a few in Fairhope. I'm on the verge of just doing it because I'm so tired of Karens. I will go scrub toilets rather than listen to one more. Now, also too, as a small business owner, I'm not counted in anything, because I don't take a paycheck. I'm a sole proprietor. I don't qualify for shit. Nothing. Nothing. I'm not the only one. And even you motherfuckers that do everything that, your accountant tells you, y'all didn't get y'all's check either. So fuck you. You tell me that I should do this, I should do that. You ain't getting your money. At least I didn't give them money not to get anything back. Jesus Christ, I would really be a feel fucked then. Dear government, thanks for nothing. That's the first billboard. If I can ever get on the radio, that's my first billboard right there. So it's going to say, Dear government, thanks for nothing. Ministry of Truth, Mondays at 9. So even these guys don't know what's going on. You know, they don't pay themselves. So, you know, if they do have employees, they're still trying to pay those employees, which those employees, they probably let 2 or 3 go. They're down to like their key employees, just trying to keep the fucking doors open. I've heard that story numerous times. And then, anecdotally, the number of small business owners who have decided to close in recent weeks appears to be significant. They're not the only ones. God, there's so much news. Let me get through this. As the hope of the V-shaped recovery failed to materialize even as states reopened, this trend could gather momentum as hope decays into realistic assessments and funds borrowed from emergency federal programs, PPPE, or PPPP, runs out. You know, you've seen the brick and mortar, you know, the retail apocalypse that's been happening. You know, you're looking at your major, you know, mall holdings corporations. I forget, there's 2 names. One right now is going crazy with the Robinhood traders as it just filed for bankruptcy. I don't know why you guys are so fucking retarded. You are buying bankrupt companies. That's not coming around. You know, you should not be trading retail stocks for retail locations when it's been declining. You motherfuckers buy everything on Amazon, but you invest in malls. But I guess everything's just a fucking trade. You know, fucking idiots. But all these malls are closing down, you know. Now, they were already on the brink of something bad. You know, people weren't going as much, you know, everything is online now. And so, you know, the Gap, I believe, just filed. The Gap, forget there was another company that's also filing, as well as a major leaseholder of said properties. That's going to hit. I mean, you have the whole commercial real estate sector that is on the verge of collapse. We're not even with that yet. That employs a bunch of people. But I mean, if they get unemployment, they're not counted, you know. The number of employees who will be laid off again as a rising flood of small businesses throw in the towel and quickly become consequential. I would say inconsequential. This is the part that scares me. Barring an immediate additional infusion of federal stimulus, local governments will start laying off temporary and contract workers as tax revenues continue their downward spiral. Where I'm at, I thought about this on my way. We have a little mini farm. You motherfuckers need some goddamn chickens. I know I sound crazy when I tell people, get you some chickens, man. Those fuckers are they're just as cool as fucking dogs. My dogs don't give me eggs, you know. They give me fleas, but they don't give me eggs. Chickens are hilarious. So I'm coming back, and we have Interstate 65, which is in just horrible disarray. It's been that way for way too fucking long. Even before they started paving it. They just paved it not long ago. And I don't know if the guy who measures how thick it should be had the day off. I mean, it was like a fucking veneer that wore off, I would say, in less than 2 years. And now they've got this son of a bitch ripped up, just rocks flying everywhere. Everybody's pissed. And I'm sitting there driving, and I'm just like, well, what if they did this? And all of a sudden, the state was like, holy shit, we don't have no fucking money. You know, what the hell? The federal government's like, shit, dude, nigga, we tapped too. What you mean you went ahead and ripped it up? You ripped it up before we gave you the money? Oh, that's on you. That's on you. But it's in such horrible shape. It's 2 fucking lanes. You're down to 1 lane. So tonight we're sitting there driving back, you know, and I got the kid in the car. I got the dog in the car, you know, and my kid's always trying to tell me something. He always tries to tell me something when I'm merging onto the interstate and there's semis in front of me, beside me, all this shit. And I see cones. And I'm like, they're doing it tonight. It's going to rain, but these jokers are like, you know what? We don't care. We're going to do it. No, they were pulling the cones up. You know, I don't know why they're putting cones down in the first place. They only pull them back up. I'm almost tempted to drive out there and see what the hell is going on. But the point of all that is tax revenues. A lot of these malls were built with tax provisions. Hey, you're going to build it right here. We're going to give you, that's how big companies come in. They project how much money, we're going to get hire this many employees. They're going to pay this much in taxes. They're going to spend the most. It's a whole formula for them to arrive at a point to where, okay, we're going to give you a discount. Well, now a lot of these, a lot of these state budgets, and especially the federal government, they've budgeted on this shit for 10 years, 20 years, and it's not happening now. As corporate America's revenues falter, the only way to reduce cost are dump leases on commercial space, and 2, lay off employees, and number 3, slash spending to the bone. And like I was just saying, all of these will end up triggering more layoffs. Mas. Could the number of unemployed rise to 38 million from 32 million, a 25% rate of unemployment? Absolutely, I believe so. As business agencies and organizations recalibrate to the reality of the V-shaped recovery, it was nothing but a brief fantasy, much like what I touch myself to every single night. 6 million additional jobs lost may be the best case scenario rather than the worst case scenario. That's a beautiful little chart right there, isn't it? I mean, you just got to steadily. This reminds me of the game on Price is Right, the ukulele guy, and he's going up the mountain climber. It's like, ukulele, hoo, and you're doing everything you can to get him right to the edge without falling off. And the whole crowd, this is my favorite game. That, and besides Plinko, I love Plinko, and the Punch It game. I like the old games. They don't even have the putt-putt things. And I don't like a skinny... what is that guy that does it? Drew Carey. Give me Bob was a pimp. Don't try to be Bob, and bring back, like the good old days of The Price is Right, when you had, I'm sexist. I'm sorry. The girls are all dressed up, they're showing the cars, you got a little cleavage, but it's still classy in a dress, And then Bob, you're like, Bob, you fucking pervert. But at the end of the show, he'd always tell you, spade knew your pets. You're like, oh, you got me. Everybody loved Bob. Drew Carey, you're just not so sure of. You're not so sure of. Now, let's stay on this topic because then I'm going to get 50 things you should get right now before you prepare for the chaotic times ahead. Let me pull up another chart real quick while I'm talking to you because I want to talk about the return on the S&P year to date, and let me pull this up real quick, and I want to talk about the return on gold year to date. Let's see, return. I can't spell on gold year to date. Year-to-date return on gold. No, I did not want to switch tablet mode. Thank you for asking, though. All right. Now, this is the gold ETF performance. Let's see here. See, there's so many different ways to look at this. And, you have to really be specific. No, I don't want that one. Let's see. Is this 2020? It has to be. Because, this is actually, I'm looking at this chart, and this chart is always the way that it is. People just don't want to believe this. But, so let's get to, all right. So now, there was charts that I've seen, and there was, is this the year-to-date return? Is this the one I clicked on? I could have just hit forward. That's all I needed to do. Shit, I forgot about that. I clicked on one, year-to-date on the stock market. I think this was it. Nope, I couldn't read that one either. There was one that I clicked on. Let's just do search for. There we go. I had one pulled up, and basically what it is 7.1% plunged to 9% on March 12th. I had one pulled up, damn it. What they're predicting is what I did have pulled up is that the what is SP return for the year? 31%. Period to negative. Annual total return that is not the one. That's Y charts. You're like, no, that's not the one because that one's saying it's 31%. But it's not. It's looking at 7.1% is what they're predicting from now on through 2030, which is about the worst case scenario you could possibly have because you have a lot of market funds. CalPERS and California, a lot of these retirement systems invest, in the S&P and all these funds, because they've got to get a guaranteed return of like 7% just to pay what they have now. But this is Y charts, and Y charts is not bad, but I'm not paying them. But I had a chart pulled up that showed it because these can all get, really, kind of crazy. 2020. Well, this is going to kind of give you now. This one thing that I just want to say is you motherfuckers that are invested in shit, you've gone through a fucking roller coaster ride for nothing. Now, unless you bought the dip, which means that now you're about even where you started at, for the year. And I just don't see how you guys can go through that for nothing, especially to when it makes no sense there's no rationality in the market right now. The only way these guys are making any earnings is they're firing people and freeing up capital that is then counted as earnings. You're looking at all these companies. You're looking at 20. I'm gonna go with his and say 21%. I think it's much higher than that. Unemployment. But then the market is going up. It's going up. Get the fuck out of here, man. Are you serious? You believe this shit? Now, what if you would have did something else? What if you would have invested in gold? Oh my gosh. Nigga, what? You'd be doing good. You pretty much would have beat everybody. And it's going up now. It's the Asian market. This is also too why I want to do this. Because I there's so much news. Like, I can literally read you the last 24 hours worth of news, and you'd be like, I didn't hear that. What are you talking about? I didn't hear that. There is literally shit happening that you have no idea. Turkey has committed ground forces to the fight in Libya. Did y'all forget about Libya? There's like a major fucking war going on in Libya right now. Everybody just forgets about it. Russia intercepted some Israeli jets that were having an attack in Syria. Did you hear about that? I don't know if you heard about that. Hear about Russian jets intercepting, several U.S. spy planes, I'm forgetting where at off the coast of Alaska going over. Chinese jets doing the same thing with U.S. reconnaissance jets or reconnaissance planes, on the South China Sea. It's just happening. Pieces are moving. But gold, the market, the Asian market's opened up and it spiked. It is now at $18.59. I mean, they're talking about earlier. People telling me I was crazy, and I was saying, well, J.P. Morgan's calling 2,000 in the year. I think it's higher. There's somebody else going, 3,000. That seems like closer to reality at this point. Is money, number one. Is the ultimate safe haven. They like to tell you this is shiny relic from a bygone era. No, it's not. If it was, then why would it still be so high? And I know a lot of people say, well, what about Bitcoin? What about Bitcoin? That doesn't exist. I mean, once again, it's like this figment of your imagination that the market is actually doing well. that the economy is actually bouncing back with 21% unemployment. I just telling you that should tell you why you should own gold. Gold has always risen to match the amount of money in circulation, which that is also too why they're seeing a lot of pressure on it, is that they're printing. So this gold at 24 hours down here, y'all can't see this, and I can't move it over. Is my face right there? Yeah, my face is covering up this chart. It's an interactive chart, year to date, I was telling a friend that he should buy Spotify right when Rogan signed the deal, and that he should buy gold. It's up almost $500 on the year. Is it Amazon stock? No. Well, Amazon is selling you everything in the world. How can it be? Silver's also doing an awesome jump. Silver has been currency. It was currency all the way up until 1964. When your parents talk about they used to buy this for a nickel or that for $1, that's when it was like real dollars. Because it was really backed by something. So that is something that you should really look into, because now we're partly through 2020. Are we halfway? I don't even know if we're halfway, man. My God, what a year. This would have been just enough shit for a fucking decade. And this has been a year. So there's another, website. This guy kind of leans, I think, a little bit more on the religious side, but he doesn't really hit you with it, like, oh, we need to, Jesus saves. I mean, he has beliefs. That's all. You know what I mean? You ain't got to discount what he's about to say because of that, but that's just to let you know. It's like that full-fledged, that's the disclaimer. He has 50 things you should get right now to prepare for the chaotic events of the next 12 months. It's been chaotic. Do you think it's going to get better? We still have an election, and this has also been the most litigated election year. There's already been like 50 lawsuits. I got this pulled up on the ever so trusty Ministry of Truth broke down fucking phone that's got a crack in it. I have shit pulled up on this. I got shit pulled up everywhere, because literally these are things that you're just not being told. So let's see. It gives me, where's the numbers at? Concerns ranging from voter fraud to disenfranchising voters who don't want to get cast absentee ballots has already resulted in at least 154 lawsuits already filed across 41 states and the District of Columbia, according to Loyola Marymount University law professor Justin Leavitt. And as LiveMint notes, more litigation is anticipated. I mean, literally, there's 10 news stories on here that I don't want to, cut off because it's insane. I have to pick. What was the things that I can say the least amount of the F-bombs with? So do you not think it's going to be chaotic? I mean, if you're black, if you try to go buy a Swisher Sweet, I don't smoke Swisher Sweets, but you jokers are in front of me in line, and I'll tell you what, dude, y'all are getting upset. What you mean you ain't got no Swishers? I have a friend that has a store. I talked to him, and he's like, "It's in Mexico. Everything's closed up, man. They got COVID real bad down there. They got our borders closed." My cousin, he's sorry. This dude, he likes to buy his beers in 12 packs. The Budweiser man is saying, man, we can't get it. We can't get anything out of Mexico. So I don't know if it's brewed in St. Louis, then trucked down all the way to Mexico to be bottled there, then comes out of Mexico. Now, wouldn't that piss you off? I'll tell you what though, if I was a Mexican and I'm having to make those American cans, that would fucking piss me off. But wouldn't you be pissed off though? The most American beer in the world is actually made in Mexico. That's what he said. He was like, "What you mean? That shit ain't made in St. Louis. He was like, I went to the factory, But, there's a shortage of cans, aluminum cans. There was an article I was reading the other day. Like I said, there were so many, but these windows got closed out. But this thing stays on 24 hours a day because literally all the stuff that's pulled up. There's another article. I don't even know what this is. But let's get to the 50 things. And I mean, for me, this is a wish list right here. But I mean, at the same time, some of it I can disagree with. Some of it I can't. This was your pandemic thing, and then all the stores closed. You had to stay home for 2 months. I was wrong about a bunch of people dying. I was going off of numbers was happening over in China. Now you're looking at it like, well, apparently it's not so bad on white people. It sounds horrible, but I mean, yes, there's white people dying, but there's something ain't right about that. Number one. So what does he say? A generator. Well, we live in a hurricane place. We need a generator. I was talking to my farm partner, and we're talking about we got our butternuts out of the garden today. And, well, what are we going to do? We're talking about how to prepare them and all that. And it's like, well, hurricane season's coming up. Let's just go ahead and can them. Instead of, processing them a certain way and then just putting them in the fridge, which I got to pull out my stuff, man. Oh, so good. Grow a butternut squash. They look really weird. But because we don't have a generator, we don't have a generator house. So if we got a whole bunch of stuff in the freezer, we're fucked. And if you have a big garden, that's what happens. But we're getting ready for a building. A Berkeley water filter. I don't know what a Berkeley water filter is. I have a water filter thing. Rainwater collection system. Once again, if you're in a hurricane area, then yeah, I mean, if you're in a major, U.S. city, I don't think you'll have anything wrong with your municipal supply unless somebody goes fucking crazy like these people are and does something, pour some goddamn Roundup in the water, who knows. An emergency medical kit, you might want to have something like that. Now, I will say this, that if you contact your local fire station, you need to know CPR. I used to know I need to go bone up on that. But there's certain fire stations, and they'll tell you, like for medical emergencies, let's say you do get a laceration, that where there's like literally you got to do some stitches, you're not in the best shape. What if you can't get to the hospital? They will teach you this. Sometimes the money will cost just as much as it costs for the supplies and pay for whatever, but it's not like a low profit thing. I know down here, Foley, I believe, does it. They have 2 classes, or they used to. Man, go ahead and go do that. You know what I mean? Really, but yeah, an emergency kit. You need to know how to do sutures. Rice. Yes, rice. I have 50 pounds of rice. Pasta. Canned soup, canned vegetables, canned fruit, canned chicken. Canned chicken ain't so good, though. I'll go ahead and tell you, man. My dogs even looked up at canned chicken and was like, I don't know, is this chicken? Jars of peanut butter. I'm always a big believer in jars of peanut butter. Although, when you're thinking of getting a whole lot of protein out of peanut butter, you're not getting as much. Salt. Salt is a very important part of your diet, believe it or not. Sugar, powdered milk. Good luck finding powdered milk. Whenever this crisis hit, that was one of the things that I have got to have milk in my coffee. No, I cannot do creamer in my coffee. My coffee is black as Satan's soul. And I am staring at this coffee pot waiting because I get the first cup. I mean, because number one, I'm either doing espresso, like you're doing coffee, like big heaping tablespoons. I'm buying minutes. I'm like, that's 30 minutes. That's 45 minutes. That's an hour of just pure on, energy. So I get it when it's just, where it can make just about half a cup of just tar. I pour that milk in there, and it turns into a milkshake for me. Gotta have my milk. Couldn't get powdered milk, Do you remember the cows and all that, them dumping milk? That could happen again. Bags of flour, yeast, lots of extra coffee if you drink it. Yeah. Buckets of long-term storable food. Extra vitamins. You need vitamins. Lighters or matches. Candles, flashlights, lanterns. Plenty of wood to burn. Extra blankets. Extra sleeping bags. A sun oven. Like I said, some of this is the wish list. An extra fan if you live in a hot climate. Hand sanitizer, toilet paper. Extra shampoo and soap. Extra toothpaste. Extra razors. Boliche, like if you can still get some now. Battery powered radio. Extra battery. Solar charger. Trash bags. Tarps, pocket knife, hammer, axe, shovel. Well, you need the hammer to knock out the guy. You need the axe to chop him up. You need the tarp to drag him over. You need the shovel to bury the evidence. Work gloves. Well, you don't get calluses when you do all of that. N95 mask. Once again, good luck. Seeds for a garden. Canning jars. Extra supplies for your pets. Emergency supply of cash. Bibles for every member of your family. And a bug out bag for every member of your family. That's a whole lot of shit right there, huh? We got a lot of that already just because, as a father, I can't look at him and be like, I don't know what to tell you, and I'm also, I think, I wouldn't say a naturally paranoid guy. I know that a lot of people will be like, well, yeah, you are, like, all this shit that you're saying. No, man, it's like a Boy Scout, you know. You tell your grandfather, you ain't gonna tell me your grandfather's, he always told you to carry what? Two things. Two things. Anybody? Pocket and a handkerchief. So, the pocket knife, pocket knife. Always meet President Trump. We'll see you in Florida. You know what? I'm gonna go see that Joker. I want to go see that Joker. It's about that, what? It's the only president, Did you ever get to go see Barack? No, because you weren't in New York, L.A., Texas, or Chicago. Trump goes everywhere. He don't care. He show up at a goddamn Burger King and do a fucking rally. But that doesn't mean that I support the Republican Party. No, not at all. Trump is just fucking hilarious. Are you kidding me? If you can't go see stand up, go see Trump. But as a Boy Scout, you're always prepared. Now, I've always said this for a number of years. I think going on almost, 2 decades now. If the chances of it happening are greater than the chances of it not happening, you would be a fool not to be prepared. I mean, really, come on. You're sitting here, you're seeing the same shit. You're looking at the disorder, the chaos in the streets of these major areas. The news is not even covering. You've got the Black Lives Matters painting the fucking mural at every single place, but then you've got black people coming up and covering it up, and now hold on, they're not being charged with a hate crime. But if you're white and you do it, you're charged with a hate crime. But you're black, you're not. I'm not really sure about the message right there. That's very concerning. That's a weird message. But you saw the videos. It went viral. The lady is running out in the one in front of, I believe, Trump Towers in Manhattan, and she's throwing the black paint, the blue paint, or whatever all over it, talking about that they haven't done anything, whatever the case is. I posted a meme. I used to think I like Mimi. I always thought they were memes. So I'm gonna call them memes. You can call them memes or whatever. I don't like that word. It doesn't sound as fun as they actually are. A meme, that doesn't sound fun. A meme, you're like, fuck yeah, I'll look at a meme, And no, it's not somebody's grandmother. Of that, if the Black Lives Matter movement has been going on for 7 years, what have they done for the black community? Not one neighborhood fixed. Not one march against somebody who has lost their lives in useless violence. None of that. But the people that oppose it, they're either not covered or they're dismissed. But it's okay. They're all eating their own now. So maybe we can get down to the fruit of the matter. There's an article that I still got to go through again because I actually, and I didn't want to touch this 10-foot pole, but just think about this though, because if we're going to have this conversation, then it means that we're going to have a compromise. Okay. And that's what you want out of this. You want both sides to sit down, people to look at each other and be like, you know what? Okay. Yeah, I can see that. I see what you're saying. I did a show and I think I stole half an interview of somebody and put it in there. And it got like something, where you couldn't hear the audio, because it was copyrighted. I'm working on that, but it's really hard to get people to call you back. But what it went through, black demographics, and I was able to go through, and I found another website where we went through schools by zip codes, and I was looking at, an inner city school versus a suburban school, and you could see these huge discrepancies. And there is a TEDx, lecture from this one guy. Now he's been making news. This lecture was actually like 3 or 4 years ago. And went through and talked about the statues, that you think they're old, but they're not. These were put in right after the civil rights thing. I mean, all of them, they're very thin. They were made very quickly. They were made very cheaply just to get them up. A North Carolina town, decided that they were going to do reparations. But the way they were going to do it is that they were going to go into the problem areas. We're not going to give you a check, because that we don't think that's going to rectify the situation. Let's actually see if we can rectify the situation. Now you're saying, "Oh, well, there comes government again." No. This is I believe this is Asheville, North Carolina. Google it. And they decided they were going to go in. That okay, there are discrepancies. Let's see if we can, have some programs, do some, some tax incentives, and let's see if we can increase black home ownership, black business ownership. Let's go in. These schools are horrible. You're not getting equal funding. Let's go in. Let's get them some funding to these schools. Let's fix it this way. And I got to be honest with you. If there's going to be some kind of form of reparations, well, this is shit that we got to fix anyway. Because what are we going to do? We're just going to let this continue on? Are you going to send your kid to an inner city school that is, let's say you're white, is 99% black? Their reading and math comprehension is horrible. I'm not saying that's because they're black. It's just because their school's not getting funding. I can show you. It's a schoolreview.com, I believe is what it is. Are you going to do that? No. You're going to move out to the suburbs. Well, when you do that, then all of a sudden the schools are paid off of property taxes. It's this whole snake eating its own tail. And the problem gets worse. So are we just going to resign to the fact that, well, it is what it is? They have a choice to make. Their fucking teachers don't want to be there. So what are we going to do? Asheville, North Carolina decide they're going to do something. At least they're going to try. Now, do I think the federal government can do this? No, the federal government fucks up everything. Do I think small individual cities can do this? Yes, I do. And at the same time they do this, they can also try to attract people to move into their areas. Not so much as being like, hey, we're doing our reparations thing. It's like, no, we're investing in our city as a whole for all of our Americans. That is your selling point right there. That's something that I think I could agree with. I agree with it today. Once probably more of the details come out, because I did pass City Council, I believe 701, or it could have been actually 7-0. That everybody's like, yeah, that's actually fuck. It's like a road to the pothole. We got to fix it anyway. It's It sucks sometimes that a major event has to be brought forth to you like this, but it does. And I do want to leave you. I'm done for the night. I do want to leave you with one little thought that I've been thinking about. I keep seeing in the news references to the uprising of police brutality because of George Floyd. George Floyd was a shitbag. Did he deserve to die? No, he didn't deserve to die. But you can't stop me from saying the motherfucker was a piece of shit. Just was. He was a piece of shit who died. And he did not deserve to die the way that he did. He deserved to die by somebody else evening the score. I mean, he still deserved to die, I mean, he should have been shot by somebody else. That would have been black on black crime. He would have never fucking known about it. But the news refers to the world uprising. George Floyd had a very long criminal career. I mean, it spanned decades. He was in the process of committing a felony when he was, ultimately, unfortunately, I will say that, unfortunately killed by the policeman. I'm not going to say he had methamphetamine in the system. I'm not going to say that at all. But to sit there and say that the whole world is uprising because of George Floyd is a complete farce. Don't believe what they're telling you, number one. Number one, they're telling you unemployment rate is only 12%, and Jesus Christ, you can look out your door and see it's worse than that. Um, but the whole world can't be that dumb that everybody's going to have an uprising over him. He's the one that not one news agency said, well, we're not going to post this guy up because I can't, people ask me, well, how many felonies did he have? Did he really put a gun to a pregnant girl's, stomach? Oh, no, 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 no. We're not going to be a hero. So when you see these uprisings and you see this narrative, we've all heard the term narrative. I am becoming we're not. I go online to get them a lot of my news because you can't trust anything that's coming out of the United States. Because we get what they want us to get. The news from the rest of the world is quite different of their perspective of America. To say that the world did all this for George Floyd is complete horseshit. To not think that's not completely organized, you'd be a fool not to think that. Is it a conspiracy theory? No, it's not. It's a reasonable assumption. Okay? Anytime till anybody tells you conspiracy theory, no. It's a reasonable assumption. So, that's it. That's it. I'm done. Let me see what this other article was. That's real unemployment. And this is all the fucking tracking. Jesus Christ, don't order anything right now because you won't get it. You won't ever get it. It won't arrive. I've been waiting on something, and it literally... When did I order this? What month is this? July? Ordered it 3 months ago. It won't even go back as far to tell me when it actually left China, to Korea, to California, to Kent, Washington, to Greenwood, Indiana. And it's been in Greenwood, Indiana now for quite some time. I think they lost it. Getting to the can thing real quick so I can summarize all this up is, especially too with that one article of Two Minds was talking about, is scarcity. Have you tried to buy any electronics? I have a friend that was like, go buy a microwave and a little fridge. Good luck to you. Can't find one. If I go to the store, I feel like I should be buying microwaves and refrigerators to sell them on the black market later. We saw the webcams went up. I had so many webcams. I had Brios, and I was trying out all these fucking cameras. And I was like, I should keep a couple of these just in case. And I was like, nah, I'm going to take them all back, man. Like, get my $150. Those jokers turned out to be worth like $350, $400. Right now, I probably sell a brand new one in a case for fucking $400. Double my money. But you're having a hard time getting cans. You're having a hard time getting any kind of electronics. The motherfuckers can't give cars away. What if it does come to where, I'm driving down 65 and it just stays that way because the government doesn't have any money? What if it turns into our gold goes through the roof and our dollar goes to shit? Nobody wants it. And then when you do want to go buy a webcam, well, now it is $400, and that's just a regular price because y'all fucking money is bullshit. It's gonna happen. It's always happened. That's what's happened through history. So a whole bunch of scary shit. Yay. This is why that I don't get so consistent with this sometimes. Is that it's just none of it's good. I'll give you one example. Let's do a new window. And I'm going to read you headlines. How about that? I'm just going to go through real quickly. And let's just do some headlines. I'm going to read this later. Twitter targets QAnon. Nukes 7,000 accounts. Restricts 1,500,000 more. He sits at home smoking weed. Desperate landlord seeks advice on what to do with a broke unemployed tenant. You got Sunbelt states, that's us, trying to find a third path for COVID-19 without destroying the economy. You got a consulate being burned in Houston. Ohio House Speaker arrested in a $60 million bribery scheme, which added a fee to every electrical bill in the state. Cultural Marxists succeed in canceling the Biden-Trump debates. You've got everywhere, bodies everywhere. 14 shot in Chicago funeral home during memorial for shooting victim. Y'all want to hear shit like that. You know what I mean? Shut up, everyone, all over, legs, stomach, back, all over the place. We thought it was a war out there. You know, you got people still coming out. Yale epidemiologist, hydrochloroquine could save 100,000 lives if widely used. There's biggest jump in COVID deaths in the U.S. This is page one, and this was last updated at 8 o'clock. And there's 10 stories, all of them. All of these are they change everything. Oh, Smithsonian Institution explains that rationality and hard work are racist. You've got all that coming out now. Just sit back, don't worry. That'll end soon. the other night I was watching a single National Geographic on my kid, the Amazon, and how the rains, whenever it's the hot dry season, that the Amazon River, shrinks to these little pools and stuff like that, and the fish are everything gets congregated in these small little pools, and everything just feeds on everything. I mean, it's just literally that's what's happening. Just sit back and get popcorn, enjoy the show. Yeah. Good luck with everything, man. That is it. I'm done. I